I'm not exactly pushing back, but I guess that presupposes a little bit that the attack on Charlie Kirk is from the left. I mean, no, I hear you. Okay, no, it doesn't. I'm getting that wrong.
No, I mean, I don't know who did this, and I sure hope that it was not from the left. That would be better. But it doesn't matter, because the first Trump assassination also was not from the left. It was just a guy who was going to also had Biden on his target list. And it's been made in the ideology of this far right that you're seeing online. It's part of a line, Brett Kavanaugh, Trump assassination, now Charlie Kirk. It doesn't matter that it wasn't from the left, because that part has been erased in the common litany of grievances. And so, I hope this wasn't from the left for all sorts of good reasons, but I'm not sure it'll make that much of a difference.
Can you tell me why you say that? Is it because you say that not as I think I'm hearing you right, that you say that not as a person who is, oh, well, I'm from the left and I don't want it to be one of my people. You're saying it as it's better to contain it on one side. Like if it exists on one side, it's easier to contain than if you do actually have now a burgeoning problem on the left where you're getting into a Hatfields versus McCoy.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, it's just about the momentum of violence, right? If one side keeps punching, that's bad. That's really bad. But it's much worse when one side punches, the other punches back. That causes an escalation.
A Fox News alert. FBI sources tell Fox News Digital that the man charged with assassinating Charlie Kirk was living with a transgender partner. Bureau officials confirmed that Tyler Robinson was in a romantic relationship with someone transitioning from male to female. They say that individual is fully cooperating with their investigation, claims to have had no idea of Robinson's plans, and is not currently accused of any criminal activity.
Robinson was, quote, a little abnormal, didn't talk to anyone. He was a quiet dude, and he didn't like talking unless spoken to. He stays in the back, and I knew from word of mouth from coworkers that he was not fond of Trump or Charlie Kirk, obviously. Now,
all right, guys, so we have some updates on the tragic story involving Charlie Kirk being assassinated by a far-left Antifa-influenced radical who decided to take his life because of the fact that Charlie Kirk has opinions and beliefs that he disagrees with. Now, we have to follow up on the Bombshell news that came out earlier today about the fact that the alleged assassin of Charlie Kirk lived with a transgender partner. Now, there's more information that has come out about the specifics of who this partner may be, and we got to talk about it because basically this part of the story that is now coming out shoots down any of the Blue Anon conspiracy theories. And don't get me wrong, they was already shot down. I mean, there was no evidence that this guy was far right or a groiper or whatever, right? But again, the Blue Anon conspiracy that these people are trying to mental jujitsu their way into deceiving their followers into believing is that the assassin was, again, far right, right? He was a far right groiper that was into furries and trans stuff, right? And that is why he assassinated Charlie Kirk.
Shooter's father turned him in, and they're trying to discern his motives going through the bullet casing that he left behind that he obviously wrote on because of course, and then like his Discord messages, his like history of his family. By all accounts, he was probably a groiper. This is probably like right-wing infighting, but he still has really esoteric, odd politics, like I called immediately. How exactly do you describe the political leanings of the phrase, notices bulge, oh whoa, what's this? You have to be knowledgeable about like decades of niche, furry, far-right trans discourse. And like, it's not surprising that so many people saw the Helldivers combo meme and interpreted it as the Antifa arrows. Similar thing with Luigi. How exactly do you describe that this guy was like a radical tech centrist who was just sick and tired of this one specific industry that had done him wrong? As the two-party system becomes less and less accurate to describe people's political leanings, I feel like there's going to be a very clear break in who understands that the independents are actually the most extreme rather than like literally just in the middle.
Yeah. So I want you guys to understand, according to Blue Anon, right, you need to be aware of niche, furry, far-right, trans discourse in order to understand the political leanings of the mass shooter, which apparently are so hard for leftists to understand, even though it is super clear that the shooter is far left and that the shooter was radicalized by Antifa ideology, evidenced by the bullet encasings with a literal Antifa fight song, which apparently is associated with groypers, okay, according to Blue Anon, okay. Hey Fascist Catch apparently also is a groyper thing. Being into trans and furry stuff apparently also is a far right thing. Yeah, his family saying that he did not agree with Charlie Kirk's political viewpoints, that Charlie Kirk was spreading hate apparently is also a far right thing as well too. It just kind of seems like no matter how you describe the shooter, right, the left is just going to interpret it as far right, right? Far right. Yeah, all that stuff is totally what the far right is into. Yeah, they're having a hard time, right? They're having a really hard time making the Blue Anon conspiracy theory make sense. And this is why they're currently losing their minds right now. They're devastated over, again, the Bombshell revelation that Charlie Kirk's alleged assassin lived with a transgender individual and was in a relationship, allegedly in a relationship with this transgender individual. Again, we're going to learn more about that. But again, you can just imagine they're having a hard time explaining this one, right? Making this story make sense, which again is why they're currently losing their minds over these bombshell revelations, because they know that at some point it's going to become too silly. The story is going to become too silly for them to continue to try to tell with a straight face that somehow, some way, this guy is far right.
Charlie Kirk's alleged Tyler Robinson was living with a transgender partner who was in the process of transitioning from a male to a female. A law enforcement source confirmed to the Post Saturday. That individual, who has yet to be identified by the authorities, is now fully cooperating with the FBI on its investigation into the fate of the conservative activist, the source added. The relationship was first reported by Fox News. Of course it was. Of course it was. Text messages and other communication that the transgender individual traded with Robinson, 22, helped the feds nab the accused assassin. Sure. Now there's a transgender roommate involved, and I truly don't even see the correlation here, but I guess more be revealed. But dude, like, then you got Bibi Netanyahu praising and saying that Charlie Kirk just loved Israel, yada, yada, yada. Dude, like, none of this is just making sense. It's so all over the place. Like, we just need the truth, because this is wild.
This is such disgusting and irresponsible reporting. Like, all of this is based on an unsubstantiated claim from FBI, apparently, that TMZ obviously did not look into or do any of their own due diligence on. They're just repeating whatever they were told, making this the headline as if even if he lived with the trans person was the one who pulled the trigger. They weren't. This has nothing to do with that. They are looking for a minority scapegoat like they always do. I am so tired of living in this country. Like, we are in the worst possible timeline.
Oh my god, his daughters were so scared they tried to run to him afterwards because they were so scared of the sound! Y'all like making shit up? Y'all like making sick shit up? This is what we do now? This is the right. Are you serious? The preachy tell everybody that they're disgusting and wrong. But don't forget about your morals. God's here to fucking judge you. You're making sick shit like that up. Huh. I'm not fucking surprised. Not to mention, there's no verified sources about any of the transgender roommate stuff going on right now, but y'all still believe that? There's literally no verified sources, and y'all are out here pushing the agenda. Y'all rolling with that shit, fucking rowing. And there's still no verified sources, and you're still telling everybody that they're fucking wrong. You're still trying to push empathy for Kirk. You're still trying to do all this bullshit while actively lying. Not just in one way either.
Yeah, I just read the New York Post article that someone else referenced as, like, proof, which, come on. And it says that the two were roommates and that there was no evidence of any sort of, like, sexual relationship between the two. Romantic, sexual, whatever you want to call it. But are we really at that point, even if this were true, where we're taking a shooter and we're going to blame their roommate or even partner. We're going to blame their partner who didn't do the shooting, by the way, just because that person is trans. So now, anytime that we have a shooter, are we just going to comb through their life, find someone that they've known at some point in their life who is trans, gay, an immigrant, and be like, it's their fault? That's what did it. They were indoctrinated. This poor, good boy raised in a good family was indoctrinated by this one gay person that he knew once. The lengths that you guys will go to blame a certain group of people that you don't like is wild.
So there are reports now that the Charlie Kirk shooter was in a relationship and lived with a trans individual. This has only been reported on by conservative outlets like Fox News, so of course take it with a grain of salt, but Republicans are already running with it. So let's just hypothetically say it's true. What does that change about the story? What difference does that make? According to Fox themselves, the person has been very cooperative with law enforcement, turning over any text messages necessary, answering all the questions. So what does them being trans or living with the person have to do with the investigation? The answer is it changes nothing. But Republicans are going to use this to try to establish political beliefs or motive, or just to demonize the LGBTQ plus community. They seem to take any chance they can to do that. The reality is, we still don't know this guy's motive. We still don't know what he believed. Law enforcement hasn't spoken on any of it. So please, I ask people, regardless of your political beliefs, be patient. Wait for law enforcement to give us official information that we know for fact, not stupid right-wing outlets who are speculating, or these right-wing creators who are going to get on social media and now demonize an entire group of people because of this story.
Yeah, so clearly you can see they're not handling the news that the Blue Anon conspiracy is falling apart, right? This idea that this guy was some type of Trump supporter or conservative or right-wing or whatever is falling apart because people with common sense, sane people know that it never made sense from the beginning, but it really doesn't make sense now considering the information that we have. And what actually makes sense is the common sense position, which is that, hey, this guy was far left Antifa, and it turns out that this guy is like basically a poster boy for far left extremism, right? The type that we see quite a bit in this country. So let's read here. Charlie Kirk's alleged assassin, Tyler Robinson, was living with a transgender partner who was in the process of transitioning from male to female, a law enforcement source confirmed to the Post Saturday. That individual, who has yet to be publicly identified by the authorities, is now fully cooperating with the FBI on its investigation into the fatal shooting of the conservative activist. The source added, the relationship was first reported by Fox News' Brooke Singman. According to public records, Lance Twiggs, 22, resided at the same address where Robinson lived. A relative of Twiggs confirmed to the Post Saturday that, yes, they were roommates. Yeah, so apparently this is the individual, the trans lover of the Charlie Kirk assassin. As you can see, there are pictures of this individual in the furry outfits, paraphernalia. I don't know exactly what you call it, right? I'm not into it. I don't know. But there's a consistent pattern of weirdness in these videos.
For Christmas, I got one of those cookie boxes, but here's the magic part. Watch this. There are actually cookies inside of here, and I've never seen that in my life.
Yeah. That's what we have. Okay, just, what appears to be, again, a weird person, right? Yeah. Yeah. That's what we're dealing with. So you guys kind of see what's going on here, right? So this individual apparently lived with Charlie Kirk's assassin and was in a relationship with Charlie Kirk's assassin. Now, keep in mind, this is all alleged, okay? But you have the mainstream liberal media, even Axios, they are admitting that, yeah, there are a lot of sources pointing to the idea that, yeah, this story is true, right? They say each of the 6 sources familiar with the investigation told Axios that investigators believe Robinson had a romantic relationship with his roommate. Yeah, so again, bare minimum, the dude was gay, right? He was a part of the LGBTQ community, which, again, is devastating for leftists, okay? Because, again, it's going to be really hard to create their right-wing LGBTQ pro-trans furry Nick Fuentes Groyper fan, right? That assassinated Charlie Kirk, right? That story is going to get a lot more unbelievable. I mean, it's already completely unbelievable now, but I'm just saying, like, it's going to be a lot harder to sell the narrative that they're trying to sell, that this was a right-winger with this information. The family member, who asked not to be identified, said Twiggs was the, quote, black sheep of their St. George, Utah family, but declined to speculate on a romantic relationship between the two men. She said she didn't know her relatives' politics or whether Twiggs was transitioning to become a woman, but added that it wouldn't surprise her. AKA, yeah, she knows, right? She knows this individual is transitioning. She also knows this person's politics, like 100%. They just don't want to see it. The family member said she knew Twiggs was brought in for questioning by police. The Post observed Saturday that no one was at the $1,800 per month townhouse Robinson and Twiggs were believed to have shared. A neighbor claimed 2 weeks ago several people driving cars with out-of-state plates were seen going in and out. Quote, they did not give off a good vibe, the neighbor said. Yeah, so I think that there are a lot of questions about whether or not this was actually really a lone wolf, right? In the sense that, did this person act alone, right? Was the trans partner involved either in coordinating or helping facilitate the assassination in some way? Or was this done in defense of the trans partner, right? In the sense that this person may have felt that they needed to protect trans people, because that's a big thing, right? Protect trans kids, protect trans people, right? That's a big thing from the left, right? So maybe this person felt the need to protect this individual from Charlie Kirk's hate speech, right? The violence that he spews towards trans people with his words, right? Again, I'm just saying, like, all of that makes sense, okay? Again, especially in the context of the inscriptions on the bullet casings, aligning with far left Antifa ideology, and also, again, the trans furry stuff, the notices bulge thing. Yeah, I mean, that makes sense, right? It actually makes perfect sense. So we have some more alleged witness report, okay? 2 more family members of Twiggs spoke with Wisconsin Right Now, okay? And allegedly, the first family member declined to comment and hung up. The second family member confirmed the information in the Post and Daily Mail stories, but also provided additional details to Wisconsin Right Now that no one has reported yet. For starters, the family member, who has not yet spoken to other members of the news media, alleged that Twiggs harbor animosity towards conservatives and Christians, confirmed that Twiggs was transgender/transitioning, and said that Robinson was allegedly Twiggs' boyfriend. To be clear, authorities have not accused Lance Twiggs of criminal wrongdoing or culpability in connection with Kirk's death. A roommate was mentioned in the Utah governor's press conference, although he was not named. The governor said the roommate gave authorities messages from Robinson that referred to a rifle and bullet engravings. Quote, they did live together, the family member of Lance Twiggs told Wisconsin Right Now in the exclusive phone interview on September 13th, referring to Twiggs and Robinson. Quote, he, Lance Twiggs, is very angry with anyone who is supportive of conservative ideas and Christian values, alleged the family member. Yeah, so what we have here are allegations from alleged family members that the alleged roommate of the Charlie Kirk assassin may have harbored some anti-conservative or anti-Christian ideals. Again, we don't know this for certain, right? Again, none of this has been confirmed directly by the FBI. But this is the information that's coming out. But it just so happens to also align with a deep dive that journalist Andy No did on the alleged assassin's roommate. And yeah, I mean, it all kind of fits, right? It all kind of makes sense. It seems like the information that we're getting is probably accurate. Like, for example, Andy No found this person's Reddit page, right? And some of the postings that they had put on Reddit, right? So in November 2024, Twigs posted about his anxiety with injecting cross-sex hormones, replying to a thread on injection pain. He wrote, quote, seriously, sometimes it's just muscle memory. Sometimes I gotta get buzzed on something, so I'm not too anxious about it. And he also talked about how Twigs was allegedly raised in a devout Mormon family, but said he left the faith. On the RX Christian subreddit, he claimed he was expelled from his family home after refusing religious spiritual help. Quote, was told I was possessed by a demon, and then within 30 minutes kicked out of the house because I started laughing and I wouldn't go to the bishop for a blessing, Twigs wrote. Later found out they just didn't like me and were looking for a way to get me out of the house. Wasn't even 18 at the time. Twigs was mentioned in the Utah criminal complaint against Robinson as an unnamed roommate who cooperated with investigators after being contacted. Robinson allegedly sent his trans partner messages related to the shooting. Surveillance video of the suspected gunman near the campus shows him appearing to communicate with someone on his phone. Twigs has not been accused of any crime. Yeah. So, according to Axios, investigators are probing whether Robinson was motivated by Kirk's outspoken criticism of transgenderism. Yeah, I think that could be plausible at this point, right? Like that makes a whole lot of sense at this point. It makes way more sense than the Blue Anon conspiracies. Again, notice how the explanation from conservatives about why this guy did it actually makes sense, right? It makes logical sense, right? It actually fits together nicely. I don't have to do any mental jujitsu in order to make it make sense. It just makes sense on its own because it's logical, right? It's based in reason, facts, evidence, right? And again, that's just why it makes sense, right? It all fits together neatly. But again, when you look at the leftists and the Blue Anon conspiracy theorists, the story that they're trying to tell, yeah, they got to do Olympic level mental gymnastics in order to make it work, and it still doesn't work. And after this information has come out, yeah, they're going to have a much harder time making it work. Tomorrow or Monday, or if/when the FBI comes out and confirms all this information, which I think that is likely they will confirm this information, yeah, they're going to have a hard time. The liberal media is going to have a hard time pushing this Groyper narrative that, this doesn't have anything to do with the far left or Antifa or any other stuff. Like, the conversation they're trying to avoid is going to get much harder to avoid when the FBI confirms this stuff. So let me know what you guys think. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. Most importantly, share a Black conservative perspective. Peace.